Well, today marks 1 month since Summer Wells was reported missing from her Hawkins County home.
It has been exactly 1 month since she was last seen at her home in Hawkins County in East Tennessee.
Surround them right now, Jesus. Members of the Tri-Cities community came to Borden Park tonight to pray for the safe return of Summer Wells.
I sit out at night as the sun sets and I play a song for Summer.
And now those search efforts are being scaled back.
And there's nothing I can do about it, and it smothers me.
A shift in strategy now focuses on the possibility of foul play.
With no trace of Summer found, it appears less and less likely that she just wandered off and more likely that she is the victim of foul play.
People are hard on the parents because statistically, when something happens, it is, a close family member. It is a parent when it's a child that goes missing.
Candus, yeah, she used to sit there. She used to yell at those kids, beat them, call them names. I felt sorry for those kids.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
The case is getting widespread attention on the internet, and in some ways it's making things worse.
Dozens of Facebook groups are sharing rumors and even conspiracies. On YouTube, a never-ending stream of videos. There are even psychic readings.
I feel she transferred in 2 cars.
Investigators say people are reporting the rumors as tips.
That just bogs law enforcement down. We have to go through and check that information.
Right now, everything is still on the table. We're still trying to find out what happened to Summer. Everybody's still a person of interest.
Hi guys, welcome to my YouTube channel.
Before I begin this video, really quick, I need to give a disclaimer. Please do not call in any tips based on anything you hear in this video. Rest assured, this information is known to TBI, law enforcement, the powers that be regarding this case. This video is really to try to get some clarity out in the public. I know law enforcement isn't talking, and that's a good thing. We don't want them to reveal information that could harm the investigation. Whenever you have uncertainty or lack of information, that's where conspiracy theories come into play. I want to give you guys the facts and the timeline, the latest that we have since my last video. Then I'm going to go through each theory and try to figure out what is rumor, what is fact, just to get some clarity. My sources will be in the description box. They always are. So with all of that being said, let's dive in because I have a lot to talk about. The day Summer went missing, it started off with her grandma Candus, going to the emergency room for her knee. We can assume, based on the timeline of information we've gotten from other people's firsthand accounts, that this must have happened sometime before 10 a.m. because Allie says they came to her house to pick up her son at around 10 or 10:30.
And what time was that at? What time did she come and pick up Hunter?
It was between 10 and 10:30 in the morning.
Teresa from Unmasked did such an amazing job. She really had like the perfect balance of empathy and investigative questions and sorting through the facts and staying neutral. I was so impressed. I was like, oh my God, I need to learn from her.
H's mom is with us. This is Allie, Allison as her formal name, goes by Allie, and helping us bring some insight. And then there's Miss Leslie, your son, who, like I was saying, we refer to as H. Like I said, you're obviously welcome to call him by his name. Was one of the last people to be with Summer on that day.
Yes. Candus and Summer came to the house that morning, asked if Hunter could go swimming with her. I didn't see nothing, fishing with her. I didn't see nothing wrong with it because, brother and sister. We're all close at one time. And Summer's like a daughter to me. June 15th, like I said, Candus stopped by here, asked if Hunter could go fishing with her and Summer. She did not have the other 3 boys with her. I asked her where the boys were. She said they were home. They were supposed to be cleaning.
So let's say around 10:30, 11, sometime around there, they go to the ER. That's where Grandma is. They dropped her off. Now they go to pick her up.
Candus picked up your son. So they went back to the hospital to get the grandma. How far of a ride is the hospital from your house?
About a 5-minute ride.
And her prescription.
We were waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry and Moreland Drive.
Once they get to the Walgreens, you know, they have to go, maybe wait in line, put in the prescription. At that point, they're told there's a wait. So because there's a wait, Candus says they decide to go to Warrior State Park to wait for the prescription to be filled.
And Warriors was straight across, so we just figured I'd take her over there to go swimming for a little bit while we waited on my mom's prescription. We weren't even there but 20 minutes.
It is at Warrior State Park where that infamous video that's being picked apart by everyone was taken. This is the video that shows Summer swimming as well as the boy. According to Candus, she says that the timestamp of this video is 12:21. Now at Warrior State Park, 2 things are alleged to have happened.
Rumor going around that Candus gave your son alcohol at the swimming hole. Is that true?
Yes, that is very true.
Do you know how many alcoholic beverages that she gave him that day? Like how many drinks did he have?
I've heard 1.
Was it a twisted tea that Hunter had drank?
It wasn't.
Yes.
It was, okay. Had she given him alcohol before? Do you know?
Not that I can really say.
Okay. You were there when he returned home. Did he seem like he was intoxicated or like that he would have had like any
No, he was a perfect 15-year-old.
Okay.
He was holding straight conversations, you know, walking a straight line. And she also had purchased him puff bars, which are nicotine vapes.
That day as well, or just at some other point?
Yep, that day as well.
Now, this was a big rumor that was going around before we ever heard this interview. There was a guy who went to the park about a week after they were there, and he showed video of twisted teas everywhere. In one of the interviews that Candus did, she made a point to mention that when they got to Warrior State Park, there was a lot of trash around there.
Was there anybody else swimming with you? People I think had questions about
Wanted to go with because he didn't want to be around his grandmother because, as he would call it, she's a I'm sorry, that's what he said. And I said, okay, well, I gotta go pick up Mom from the hospital, and then we gotta go do Walgreens, and then I'll take you home. Well, we had to wait for Mom's prescription at Walgreens, so we just went up to Warriors. There was all kinds of trash everywhere at Warriors when we showed up.
That's making people be like, are you trying to explain away that video? Or maybe she just wanted to mention that for whatever reason. Something else happened at the park.
He said that she slid on a rock, went under, and he jumped in and grabbed her. He said that she was underwater for 10 to 20 seconds. He said that she was fine whenever he got her out because he checked her.
Apparently, Summer slipped on a rock, went underwater for 10 to 20 seconds. Then the boy went and grabbed her out of the water, and she seemed fine. Then they leave the park and they go back to Walgreens to pick up the prescription. Then from Walgreens, they go to the Priceless grocery store, which is on the way to Allie's house.
Grandma went in the store with Candus, which I thought was kind of odd because we just got out of the emergency room with a sore leg. What are you doing in the store?
Do you know anything about the grocery store trip?
He said that him and Summer were outside in the truck watching TikTok videos.
You know the name of the grocery store they went to?
Priceless. It was Priceless.
Priceless.
He was watching TikTok videos with her at the grocery store. Then she fell asleep after on the way from the grocery store to home, or had she been in and out of sleep, or how what do you know about that?
He said that She just fell asleep right after, they were watching TikTok videos and she fell asleep because she was tired.
They get those groceries, they're in the car, and now they go to drop him off at Allie's house.
She brought him home between 2 and 2:30. Summer was asleep in the back seat of her car.
When she dropped him off between 2 and 2:30, did you see Summer in the car at that time?
Yes, Summer was in the back seat of the truck.
And she was
there
sleeping.
milk also in the back seat?
Yep, the 2 gallons of milk were side by side, and she was leaning up against them. And I was asking Candace questions like, oh, she must be tired out. She must be pooped, must have had a long day. Because usually if she heard my voice, she would wake up. And she'd want out of the truck. I kept peeking my head around Candace because the back window was rolled up. She finally rolled the window down. I said, oh, I just want to open the door. I want to touch her. I want to give her a hug, She goes, no, we have to get the groceries home.
Okay.
Was she in her red SUV or was it a red truck?
It was a Silverado.
Oh, okay.
It was her mom's truck.
When you saw Summer in the back seat of the truck, do you know what she was wearing?
Oh, I know she had a long sleeve pink shirt on, like a hoodie type thing. And I believe it was her gray pants.
Did Hunter actually go fishing or did they just swim? Did you ever find that out? Like, because she asked if he could go fishing. Was there like fishing and swimming or how did that work out?
From what they're telling us and what Hunter has told us, they just went swimming.
Did she look like an okay sleeping child to you? Did she look like anything was wrong?
To me, at the time, I just thought she was sleeping, but you can ask Leslie. I even questioned that myself.
When you saw Summer, did she move at all? Did she make any sleepy noises? Did she, anything
not
like
that
that?
I can remember.
Okay.
Because when I got to look at her, they finally rolled the window down, and then they're like, well, we got to go. Because we got milk in the car.
From Allie's house to Summer's house is 45 minutes. During this 45-minute drive, there is a accidental video that is taken according to Candace, and this is the infamous video that I'm sure you've seen a million times of the grandma and Summer's hand and Candace driving and all that.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch. But...
According to Candace, this video was taken at 3:09 p.m. So now they're back at Summer's home, and according to Candace, when she was asked, what happened in the hours after you got home, between that time and when you reported her missing, how many hours passed? Candace said that she couldn't tell her because, time flies when you're having fun.
About how many hours was that before she was reported missing?
I really can't tell you all the time details because time gets away from you when you're trying to enjoy yourself.
What we do know is that around 6:30, one or more 911 calls are made and Summer's reported missing.
Being around 110, 110 Bend Hill Road off of Beach Creek should be the first residence on your right. Reference to a missing 4-year-old. The parents have called in and advised that the mother had went for a walk, came home, now they can't find her. They've been yelling for her. She's been gone for about 10 minutes now.
The next thing we know is at 7:30, Candace makes a series of calls.
Why did she call your son in the cop car stating, I failed a polygraph test. I have to go take another one. I'm going to the police station.
So she called
the next
Hunter?
day after they questioned Hunter, she showed up here, her and her mother, to question Hunter on what they said, which is illegal.
Interesting. So she was on her way to the police station to take her second polygraph?
Yes. Because she failed the first one.
And she called your son to tell him that?
Yep.
While he was at work. She called at 7:29.
She called my son.
Hunter. She called Hunter about 15 after 7. And Hunter called my phone at the ball field at 7:29.
Were you at the home that night?
Yes. What happened is during the day, I had spent the day with my daughter and took my daughter out to eat. And about 7:30 that evening, I was at home, and Summer's mother had called me, and she said, "David, we have an emergency. Summer is missing." And she was also trying to reach another one of our church members. Her name is Robin.
I was taking my little girl's pictures before her dance class, and I noticed I was missing calls from Candus. Before I even had a chance to call her, she messaged me again on Facebook Messenger, and she was just in a panic mode. And she says, "Summer's gone. We can't find her anywhere. The police are here searching."
And she was unable to get a hold of Robin, so she called me and see if I could try to get a hold of Robin for her. We were able to get a hold of Robin, and Robin and myself, we made our way out to their home.
And I said, "I'll be right there."
Lane said she arrived at the Beach Creek area around 9 p.m. on June 15th, the night Summer was reported missing.
I was ready. I was like, "Let's do this. Let's get the flashlights out. Let's get some snacks in our bags. You know, it's going to be an all-nighter, you know."
I'd never been out to their home before. I had to get the address from them. But by the time we got out there, it might have been about, oh goodness, maybe 8:30 or so. And
around 11:12, closer to 11, Candus calls Allie on Snapchat video.
Candus called on Snapchat on video.
I got booted out of my own stream, sorry.
About 11 something, close to 12 on video.
Does she normally call on video?
Nope. And that's when she started giving me the story about them planting flowers and going in the camper, washing their hands, getting candy. It was all crazy. She never showed any ounce of emotion.
So that's the latest timeline that I have for you from June 15th. Now let's get into the theories. Let's begin with the official story theory.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers.
At first, we did not hear from Candus. As you all know, we only heard from Dawn.
So when her mother come in, she says, "Where's Summer?" She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
Dawn's account is a secondhand account because he was at work and Candus called him and told him what happened, which may explain the inconsistencies that people are talking about, because it could be like a game of telephone. Of course, it could be something like that they're lying. The next thing that we hear in terms of the official story is from Candus herself.
Me and my mother and her were planting flowers. And we went in after we got done washing our hands, and she got a piece of candy from Grandma, and she wanted to go back over and see her brothers. And I said, okay, and I walked her all the way over to the porch, and I watched her walk into the kitchen where the boys were watching TV. And I told the boys, I said, "Watch Summer, I'll be back." And within 2 minutes I came back. And I asked the boys where their sister was, and they said, "She went downstairs, Mom, to play with her toys in the playroom." I said, okay. And I yelled downstairs for her a couple times, and I didn't get no answer, which was unusual because usually she always answers me. And so I went down there to check, and she was nowhere in sight. She was just gone.
Unless we hear that 911 call, we're not going to know for sure like what was officially said and if the story changed or not. So we're going to put that to the side, and we're going to go with the official story that Candus left for only 2 minutes. What would have to happen in those 2 minutes is either Summer wandered off, maybe she got distracted or something, wandered off and then was lost in the woods and somehow succumbed to the elements because it's been a month. Or she was either taken from her property, or maybe she did wander off and then was taken somewhere a little bit away from her property, down the road, in the woods, what have you. Let's start with the Summer wandered off sub-theory. of the official story theory.
It appears less and less likely that she just wandered off and more likely that she is the victim of foul play.
The first thing that you will hear over and over again when you talk about Summer wandering off is everybody who knew her, including her parents, saying that Summer would never wander off.
I know she didn't walk away from this property by herself.
She wouldn't wander off.
Nope, that little girl would never leave that front yard.
There is a first time for everything. So just because she's never wandered off before doesn't mean that she couldn't wander off now. She is the outdoorsy type. She's always outdoors, playing in the mud, playing barefoot, running around, swinging. She's very much an outdoorsy girl. According to Don, her dad, Summer being outdoors was her downfall.
She loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall. Because a lot of times the boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? Go get Summer now." And that's happened over and over again.
If you're saying where's Summer, then you don't know where she is. So it seems like this may have been a recurring thing and now it just really got bad. I don't know. A lot of people think that there's no way that she could have wandered off and not been found by now because of how massive the search was. People are like, well, if she was in the woods, they would have found her by now. But really, I don't know, because it seems like this terrain was extreme.
This is an aerial view of the family's home on Ben Hill Road in Rogersville. Woods literally surround the home. It's very tough terrain, full of venomous snakes, briar patches, and an occasional bear. They will, yes, be scaling back some operations. Searchers are said to be physically and mentally exhausted from the rough terrain and extreme conditions.
Captain, I'll go to the end, but I'm tired. I'm physically and I'm mentally tired.
It seems like just because the search was massive doesn't mean it was actually massive enough. It's still possible that little 5-year-old Summer could be curled up somewhere trying to stay warm or hiding from something or whatever. To understand the setup and what could and could not have happened, you need to understand their property and the surrounding areas.
So they were planting flowers in the back, right? Or was it on the side?
It was right where her mom's trailer is. You'll see some flower pots. So you have bird's eye view of everything. Like where that trailer is of her mom's, the camper, if you go straight down that embankment, there's the main road. But that's quite a hike and you got to go through a lot of garbage and a lot of crap. I mean, I won't even hike it.
And they do have neighbors that are close enough if they heard or seen anything.
Yeah, there is neighbors on Beach Creek Road that they would have seen something. Like right before you pull out, well, when you pull out of Candus's driveway and you go down to Ben Hill Road to go out on the main road, there's a house that sits right there in the corner. And they're always home. So they would know if someone else came onto that road to get onto that property. Like how their property set up is like their house is on top of the hill. They got her mom's camper, which is on the side of it. You come down the driveway a little bit and there's 2 sheds. There's a blue shed and a tan shed.
Okay, the blue shed is the one I think I'm talking about. And then keep going. Okay.
And then you continue going down her driveway and you take a left to go out on Ben Hill Road. Follow that all the way to the end to the stop sign. And right at that stop sign sits another house.
So now that we have an idea of the house, the setting, the property, let's go to the second sub-theory, which is the kidnapping theory.
Some bad person grabbed her, but we have no idea.
Well, whoever has my daughter, I pray and hope that they have not harmed her and they bring her back to us safe and sound.
The first thing that I thought of when I thought, could someone have kidnapped her, is I want to see the SA offenders in the area. And when you do a search, it's not great. When you look at the registry in the area, you will see that there are quite a few Chesters, if you know what I'm saying. And the closest one to Summer, it was in 2015, and it was for sexual exploitation of a minor, which is not great. Just ugh. And now I'm not accusing this person of anything, I'm just stating a fact. This is a accessible fact that by law is made accessible so that we can know about this. So yeah, this is a theory that Donald Wells and Candus really have been pushing home. I mean, repeatedly.
Has your theory about what happened to Summer changed any since we spoke a couple weeks ago?
No, she was abducted. There's, you know, I forget how you put that, reasonable deduction, or however you say that. You're talking school, you know, but by that theory there, yeah, she's been abducted in my mind, 100%.
Whether a human trafficking ring or what or who, but I mean, I knew from the first day she wasn't in the area.
Well, I knew right away that she was abducted. You know, I knew that right away, and that's what I told them from the beginning. But they have to go through their, you know, I forget the word.
Investigation. I feel in my heart that somebody has came up here and took her.
Somebody abducted her.
So if she was abducted, you think it was somebody that you don't know?
Yeah.
If someone were to kidnap Summer, first of all, they would have had to know she was there. The house is extremely isolated. It's on a hill with a windy road that, unless you know about the house, you can't really just kind of drive by and see it and think, oh, that'll be a good house to kidnap. It's not that kind of house. The reporter for Times News, who has been interviewing Donald Wells a few times now, this reporter told him that he went to his house.
I did go to the end of your driveway and look up. And I mean, that for somebody to go up there and not knowing what they're going to find, it seems highly unlikely, because that's straight up, and you can't see where you're going. You don't know what's ahead of you.
As he was telling Donald this, right away there was an explanation and a rebuttal.
And we've had several people sneaking around there, though, and that's, I mean, we've had them sneak around at night, in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
We've never had somebody up there at 5:30 in the afternoon that we know of, you know. But they didn't come up the driveway. They come up a dog trail from the woods.
Oh, okay.
They didn't come the driveway. And that dog that they used, that's where the scent took them, was down through the woods, not the driveway.
Where did the dog scent end?
At the road, Ben Hill Road is where the dog scent ended.
Oh, man.
Yep. So that right there, you know, I already knew all that, but that there just confirmed it for me. But yeah, somebody was either hiding in the weeds there, waiting for the shade, either come in the basement.
The house does not have any fencing.
Is there any kind of like fencing around their house or anything, or is it just all open?
It's all open.
So let's say that there was someone that knew that there was a house with a little girl at the end of this driveway and that they wanted to go and snatch her. The thing that drives this is Candus is an avid user of social media, not just a user, but she posts a lot on TikTok, on Facebook, and she posts a lot of her kids, including Summer. There are pictures and videos of Summer repeatedly over and over again on social media. So if there was some person who was watching and had horrible intentions and tried to figure out, you know, where they were and what the setup was and was lying in wait, it's not likely, but it's not impossible. Whoever came and grabbed her from her property would have had to do so without dogs making anyone notice that they were on the property. And according to pictures, videos, and people who know of the situation, the dogs would bark, even if you've been at the house before.
Was there any way for someone to come on that property that easily to snatch her in 2 minutes?
No. Those dogs would have barked.
They have about 20 dogs on their property. They don't spade their dogs. They don't neuter them.
Okay.
Those dogs would bark. Anytime someone came up that driveway, they bark, even if they knew you. If they knew you, once you got up to the top, you were fine. If they didn't know you, they were trying to eat you up before you even got on that property. Those dogs would come running down, showing their teeth and all. Those dogs are very protective. Those dogs protected those kids.
Is there 20 plus dogs around the property?
There are several dogs on the property. We've taken the family food and everything, and we've gone to visit with them. And they'll as we're pulling up the drive, a couple of dogs will run up there, just kind of start barking and everything.
There's even a part during the interview that I noticed that the dogs were barking in the background. And
we just want to focus on the good friends and Christian people that are trying to help us and praying for us and praying for Summer.
So either they didn't bark because nobody was there, or maybe they did bark and Candus and the mom didn't hear. And that leads us to the same place that the TBI is. That's why they keep saying circumstances remain unclear.
The circumstances surrounding the Summer's disappearance remain unclear.
Even with all the information that we're not privy to, the TBI said that they still couldn't confirm or deny the official story. You can look at it as, well, there's nothing disproving it, but it's also kind of bad that there's nothing proving it. We don't know. So let's move on to the next theory, which is the secondary drowning theory.
He said that she slid on a rock, went under, and he jumped in and grabbed her. He said that she was underwater for 10 to 20 seconds.
So at first I had never heard of secondary drowning.
It's called secondary drowning, and it happens after swimmers inhale water into their lungs.
Most cases will occur within 8 hours, but some are described longer than that.
The symptoms can include difficulty breathing and decreased mental awareness.
Secondary drowning is very rare, so we don't want to panic anyone at home. If your child experiences any of those symptoms after a long day at the pool, it's important you take them to the emergency room as soon as possible.
Kids will have a drowning event, so they're underwater, submerged, take in a breath of air. And then what happens is, instead of big inflated lungs, these little air pockets start to sort of collapse down.
It was this week when a 4-year-old boy died from dry drowning. What's deceiving is when the child steps out, they're fine. It takes 6 hours or more to develop any serious symptoms. The most common signs include coughing, chest pain, shortness of breath, fatigue, and sudden changes in behavior. If they go untreated, it can lead to death. Dr. Higginbotham says eliminate distractions like talking on the phone or drinking.
It could be 2 or 3 minutes where you're not paying attention and that child's underwater.
So here are the facts. We know that that is enough time for someone to have swallowed water. We also know that when Summer was in the car and he was being dropped off at Allie's, that Allie noticed that Summer wasn't moving and it was kind of strange. The symptoms that are associated with secondary drowning, one of them is fatigue, and so she was tired, but that doesn't really prove anything because she was running errands early in the morning and then she was swimming, and so she's 5 years old. She could have just been tired from a long day and was sleeping in the car. The facts really don't tell us either way, which is, again, when there's uncertainty, there are conspiracy theories. People are going to fill in that gap with their preconceived notions of what they know and the limited information that they have. If you are going to go with this theory, and this did happen, then after she passed, this is the theory, if she passed, then there would have been a cover-up afterwards, right? Because then the whole story of the planting flowers and her wandering off, then it seems like that's a cover-up, is what people are saying. Allegedly, their conspiracy, don't sue me. Which leads me to wonder, okay, why are people having such a hard time believing the parents? Now, there are two arguments, let's say, that I'm seeing around of why people think that is. And the first one is classism, that these people are less fortunate, less educated, they're being criminalized, they are being blamed for something that they really are victims of, and that this is because of their appearance, their lack of financial means, all that kind of stuff. That could be part of this harsh treatment that we're seeing. The flip side to that argument is, no, it's not classism at all. It's their demeanor. It's their apparent slurring, and they seem like they're on the under the influence of something. Then there's people saying their stories are inconsistent. Other people are like, they have no emotion. What's going on? Why do the kids look so unhappy? Which leads me to the next theory, and that is the pills theory.
We were waiting on my mother's prescription from the drugstore at Walgreens on Fort Henry and Moreland Drive.
Now, this is hard to prove or disprove unless you have a drug test, right? There's no way of knowing. Maybe it's prescribed and they're allowed to be on it. We do have other facts that are surrounding the situation that you'll decide if they lead you to believe this or not. The fact that they went to the emergency room that day and there was a prescription being filled. Now, we don't know what that prescription was. We're assuming it's pain pills. We don't know. What we do know, though, is that Grandma was limping.
So Grandma Candus had a hurt knee and had gone to the emergency room on the day that Summer went missing. There was a lot of people talking about her being able to plant flowers. Do you know anything about how Grandma's knee is, and was she actually planting flowers? Can you help with that speculation at all?
You know, I've seen her. I know when she walks, she does limp.
We know that Dawn has a criminal past with having controlled substance without a prescription, although that is not a charge that Candus has that we're aware of, and it's not a charge that Candus's grandma has. So those are the facts regarding that. The other thing we know as well, which is adding to this pill-seeking fake need for pills thing, is that if Grandma's knee hurt so bad that, you know, she had to go to the ER to get medication, why did she go out to the grocery store and walk when she was having this issue with her knee? Now, by this time, she did go to Walgreens, so it's possible she took those pills from Walgreens and felt better and then started walking. Other people are saying maybe she's faking the limp to get the pills. The other thing we heard from Allie is that pretty much Dawn and Candus were like high and drunk all the time.
Candus and Donnie, yes, they used to drink all the time. Candus loved to get high off of marijuana. Candus had this thing about after 5:30 at night, hey, let's get drunk.
On the daily?
Yep, on the daily, she did. She had to keep quiet. Donnie's the one that done most of the talking and the interviews.
She always looks high and drunk.
Now is a good time for me to talk about Allie and the credibility of Witness Allie. That's what I'm going to call her. This is important because that is the first of many allegations that I'm going to show you and tell you about. And so I think it's important for me to tell you a little bit about the source so that you can decide if it's a credible source. The whole issue with her credibility started with this photograph.
There's a rumor with me going around on Facebook. I'm sitting at Candus's house, and yes, my shirt was dirty because I'm Italian and I wear what I eat. You can ask Leslie that.
Melissa knows that too.
And there's a plate with a dog on the table, and there's a lighter in the plate with a spoon. Everyone keeps saying it was meth and everything. For one, I am not a meth head and a crackhead. Do I look like one? Look at the size of me. Like, come on, really? Never touched a crap in my life. What we were doing is her mom was making us green fried tomatoes. And that was the only clean plate in the house. So as she was putting the rest of the green fried tomatoes in the pan, I stole the plate and put my fried green tomatoes on that plate and I ate them. And she didn't have a fork, so I used a spoon. Like, come on now. And then the lighter, hello, I was smoking a cigarette after I eat like any smoker would do. And then they're like, well, what's up with the dog on the table? Well, that puppy was my son's puppy, and in order for him to have it in the house, we had to deflea it.
So we had fried green tomatoes, smoked a cigarette, and then had to take care of a pup that needed to be defleed to come into the house.
Yep.
And that got all encompassed into one photo that happens now to be 20 different stories.
Yep. My favorite one is them saying, you know, I'm a meth head and I'm a crackhead. It was meth. Come on. Really?
The other thing that people are bringing up regarding her credibility is the fact that she seems to have this, not vendetta is the word that I'm looking for. It's not that she has a vendetta, it's she has a beef with Candus.
I met Candus through my mom.
And your mom is Sherry?
Yeah, my mom's Sherry. My mom met her down at the Santa train, which is a big thing here in Kingsport, Tennessee. And then my kids knew her before I did. They knew her
because of Grandma?
Because of my mom, Sherry, yes. I stopped having contact with her back in September, October. Hunter's father was moving down here from New York. Candus opened up his house to him and his 14 people that he came down with and their kids. And they decided to go back home the same day. And we kind of got stuck with Jose. Me and Jose started kicking it off. And the next thing you know, Candus was getting drunk every night and putting her moves all over him. First of all, you don't do that if you're married. Right. Second of all, you don't do that to your best friend.
So let's talk about the next theory, and that is the Candus Theory.
And I'm sorry that you guys feel that way, but that's my baby, and nobody would ever treat her like that as long as I was around. Ever.
I want to say innocent until proven guilty. According to Don, her husband, he thinks that Candus would never ever lie to him about this situation.
I know Candus wouldn't lie to me about any of the facts. She has no reason to, you know. I mean, she wouldn't lie.
He also says that Candus has some anger issues.
How is your family coping?
My wife ain't doing too good.
Is she needing help or anything, or?
No, just kind of some anger issues.
And according to Allie, Candus was mean to the kids.
Candus, yeah, she used to sit there. She used to yell at those kids, beat them, call them names. I felt sorry for those kids. She used to take a belt. She had a belt. She used to chase them around with it when they needed it.
Okay, did you guys ever live there with her?
I stayed with her from time to time.
You and the kids, or just like you'd hang out there and stay there?
Me and the kids. One night, Candus was tickling my youngest. And Summer's like, you don't hurt my friend, because she thought she was hurting my youngest. She goes, you don't hurt my sister. You don't hurt my friend. And she went over there and then, like, she kicked her mom. Candus's boys were acting funny. Like, it came across one day in the store that one of her kids said another one of them touched them. She had gotten a CPS report one day, so they moved the boys' room upstairs to the living room. And they kept Summer's room downstairs. And there has been multiple CPS reports made. My mother's made a couple. CPS would show up. Candus would not let them in her house. She'd hurry up, get her house clean. And CPS would, you know, just be on their way. She had a recent CPS report that was open. And she was dodging them. She made an appointment for them to come and look at her house. She dodged them.
She does have a criminal history, a lot of different things. One of them is a domestic, but according to the code, I mentioned this in my other video, it was against a spouse, not against kids. So, you know, she doesn't have a history of doing things to kids other than what Allie is saying. And not just Allie, but also Leslie.
Go ahead, Leslie. I'm sorry.
I told her grandmother and her mother that I didn't like her because of the way she done her kids. The first time I met Allison was her at Allison's birthday party. They had a little pool out back for the kids to play in. Her two boys was horse playing. Okay, that's what you're going to do in a swimming pool. And because they was horse playing, she got mad at them, made them get out of the pool from being wet and lay on hot pavement with their stomach against the hot pavement. Two of her boys. And it made me mad, and I went and told Allison the pool was going to get emptied because those kids are not going to get hurt by her doing stuff like that to them. Honestly, from the way I've seen Candus around the kids, she was all about the boys. And she was jealous of Summer because of the attention that Donnie give Summer and didn't give it to Candus.
Now, I did notice one thing, and I don't know if I'm looking too much into it. You guys tell me. But when Allie was saying, like, Candus would yell at the kids and beat the kids, it seems like Leslie was, like, rolling her eyes.
Candus, yeah, she used to sit there. She used to yell at those kids, beat them, call them names. I felt sorry for those kids.
In defense of Candus, I will say there's issues that are being brought up with Allie's credibility. And then also I noticed, and again, this could be nothing, but I did notice that it seemed like Allie was being coached.
She wasn't showing any emotions the night she called to tell you about Summer.
She wasn't even showing any emotions the night when I got to talk to her when Summer was missing.
She went missing.
The night she went missing, when I was talking to Candace on the phone, she wasn't even on video. She was pacing back and forth in her kitchen, fiddling with her hat on her head. And yawning. She wasn't crying or nothing. If that was my kid, I'd be crying my eyes out.
I don't know if it was because they wanted to say something, but she was on camera, so they just wanted to be heard. These are first-hand accounts, so they're considered witness testimony. You either believe it or you don't. That's where the credibility of a witness comes into play. The other major thing that's fueling the Candus theory is her relationship with the teenage boy. It is very like grooming vibes, okay? Like the whole buying alcohol, buying the vape puffs. It's not just that they had a weird relationship, it's that the communications after Summer went missing, why is she calling him to tell him that? Adding to this is, according to Leslie, she then, with her mom, so Grandma Candus and Candus show up at the house to ask him, like, what did the cops ask you? Like, what did you say? The good thing is that law enforcement has his phone.
Yes, law enforcement does have Hunter's phone.
And I'm sure a lot of other people's tech. So they will get to the bottom of it. And if this is something that, you know, is an issue, then they will be able to know. The whole inconsistency thing that people are talking about. Was there a walk? Was there not a walk? Was it 2 minutes or was it more than 2 minutes? Was the basement locked or was the basement not locked?
The door was locked and then it was unlocked by the time Dawn got there. I don't know. That's kind of that's an interesting one time-wise. That they would both have something different to say.
Like, they have changed their story so many different times, even on social media and everything. It's crazy.
She was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked.
Did they tell you if the basement door was open or closed or locked or?
They told me it was locked, and the children even told me that it was locked. So, you know, with that, the front door was the only way in or out. One of the sons did tell me that, you know, the door was locked while she was down there, and Summer's mom, you know, she confirmed that with me, because that was one of my things.
Is it a lie? Is it a miscommunication? Brings me to the lie detector.
They've said they took polygraph tests and they have said that they have passed, but we have not heard a confirmation from law enforcement on that.
If she passed the polygraph, why did she call your son? Why did she call your son in the cop car stating, I failed a polygraph test, I have to go take another one. I'm going to the police station.
So she
and
called
then the next
Hunter?
day after they questioned Hunter, she showed up here, her and her mother, to question Hunter on what they said, which is illegal.
Interesting. So she was on her way to the police station to take her second polygraph?
Yes. Because she failed the first one.
And she called your son to tell him that?
Yep.
While he was at work.
While he was at work.
That Don and Candace took a lie detector test. Now, did they both pass it?
Yes, they have both passed her lie
And did they take it once or twice?
I know that when Don took his, he told me they gave him like 3 or 4 different lie detector tests all in the same day. And he passed. Then the first time that Candace took her lie detector test, and this is what she told me. Okay, she said that she was very tired, and the investigator who was, you know, giving the exam to her, obviously she was just, I mean, very nervous. She did tell me that she there were a couple of areas that showed deception, and they talked to Candace about it, and they said, tell you what, they contributed it to her maybe being tired, and she was very stressed out because they had been interviewed for hours and hours and hours. So what they told Candace to do, said, tell you what, we want you to go home for the weekend, and on Monday we want you to come back. And that's what she did. She came back on that Monday, I believe it was a Monday, and she passed with flying colors.
Did law enforcement actually tell them they passed?
Yes, because you actually get a report and everything that gets mailed to you is what they told me. So yes, now law enforcement didn't tell me, but they told them is what they told me.
The thing is with lie detector tests is, as we all know, they're not admissible in court. And the reason for that is because, you know, they can be like cheated. You can fake one, especially if you take something that slows down your heart rate, doesn't give you anxiety, because these are the things that they're measuring. They're measuring signs of anxiety that are correlated with lying. So if you are not responding in a natural way because you've taken a substance that is giving you an unnatural response to something, theoretically you could pass it. This could also explain them sleeping. I mean, obviously it could be that they've lost sleep, their daughter's missing. That's very likely. It could also be that they decided to take something to calm down to pass the test, and they took so much that they fell asleep. So putting Candus aside, let's talk about the next theory, which is the Dawn theory.
There's always going to be haters, you know, and you know, it's always going to be that way in this world.
This theory was way more popular before we heard from Candus. His initial story and demeanor, and then when he was like holding his son, the son was looking down, this is when people were suspecting him, and they were like, he's off and something's wrong with him. Why is the boy so sad? As if his sister isn't missing. Then we heard about the domestic
incident that took place at the Wells house.
Yep.
Was that Jose?
Yep.
Okay.
Donnie was in Utah. Then he comes home and he's got a strange man in his house. Donnie got arrested. Jose's wherever. And Candus was alone. And then Candus turned around and dropped charges.
We've worked it out. She's apologized to me. She's went to the district attorneys. She even talked to the judge and told him that she made a serious mistake. And you know, and that's the end of it.
And this is when everything really kicked up into high gear against Dawn. People were like, whoa, you have a history. She was afraid for the children. Like, what were you doing? You did something on your son and you're this and that. According to Allie and Leslie and everybody, they were like, actually, Summer was his little princess. He loved her.
Did he favor Summer or anything like that?
Summer was his pride and joy out of all those kids. That was his baby girl. That was his angel. But the other kids, they really didn't interact with him because he'd get up, he'd go to work, he'd come home, sling a few beers back.
When they were asked if Dawn would cover for Summer, they said something quite interesting.
If something happened with Candus and Summer, do you believe that Dawn would cover the situation for Candus? Like, would that be something that you, in your opinion, he would do?
That's kind of hard to say.
Okay.
Because to me, I would think he'd beat the shit out of Candus. Like I said, that was his princess.
The other thing people are using against Dawn is his use of past tense.
They're jumping all over me about past tense was, you know, well, I'm sorry about that. It's just, and she loved everybody in that church, or she loves everybody in that church. I should rephrase that because they'll tear that apart as past tense, and I apologize again for that.
His resignation, the fact that he's like, I'm going to see her in the resurrection.
I'll see her in the resurrection. As long as I keep the commandments and I do what I'm supposed to do, I'll see her in the commandments.
And he explained why, according to him, he uses past tense and why he is losing hope.
Sometimes I lose hope.
Lose it.
And I think, well, maybe we won't never see her again, you know. So I start thinking in past tense, sorry. But I'm trying to keep hope up. I'm trying to keep my prayers up and all that.
Let's move on to the next thing, which is Grandma Candus.
Somebody asked if you think that Grandma Candus would cover for Mom Candus if something did happen.
Oh, yes.
For a Candus theory to be true, Grandma Candus would have to be involved. So either she's telling the truth or she's covering for Candus. And so when Allie was asked by Teresa from Unmasked, you know, would Grandma Candus cover for Candus? She said yes.
Grandma Candus would cover. Okay, let's see.
Because she's covered for on all her CPS cases. She'd be the sober party.
Grandma would be.
Yep.
The main reason people are suspecting Grandma Candus of somehow being involved is because she's not talking. And I noticed that's a common thing. Like when you don't talk, they suspect you. And then once you start talking, then they really suspect you. When you look at her history, you could potentially understand why she would be so devastated that she doesn't want to speak out. Because this is not the first missing person in her life. Her daughter was a missing person, and now her granddaughter is a missing person.
There is a dark cloud lingering in the distance. A secret that these roads have held on to for far too long. A secret that has haunted Candus Hare in this community for 10 long years.
And it's horrible. It's hard to deal with. And my life will never be normal without knowing where my daughter is.
There hasn't been a day that has gone by when Candus Hare hasn't wondered where her youngest daughter is, or if she's okay.
With a missing child, there's a hole in your heart that can't be filled.
It's not a good feeling. It's just, I wish I knew where she was.
Since we're talking about theories and Grandma, I will mention this one. This one is pretty nuts. But you know that video of someone in the car? Well, people are saying that doesn't sound like Grandma. That sounds like a young male. So I know. I will play you whatever audio I have.
My life will never be normal without knowing where my daughter is.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch.
With a missing child, there's a hole in your heart that can't be filled.
She still got her arm up?
No.
Oh, that's what I was trying to catch. Just trying to figure out where my daughter is. It's horrible.
Speaking of young male, this leads us to the young male in question and the theory regarding him.
Was there anybody else with you?
No, not when we came home, no.
Was there anybody else swimming with you? People I think had questions about.
Wanted to go with because he didn't want to be around his grandmother because, as he would call it, she's a. I'm sorry, that's what he said.
It's a dangerous theory because this is a minor and he's being accused of very, very serious things. And so we need to be very careful like what we say in terms of his guilt. Because if he was somehow having a relationship with Candus or whatever thing, that's not his fault. I don't even like the way they're saying a relationship with her. If something was going on between them, he was the victim in this situation. So here are the facts. According to his social media page, you know, there's a picture, a date where he posts a picture with Candus, and it's also the same date that he says he's in a relationship. This could be a total coincidence. His mom says he does have a girlfriend. It doesn't really prove anything other than that they had a weird relationship. If anything, it says something bad about Candus and not about the boy. According to Allie, they did have their own methods of communicating with him and Candus. It's not like he had to go through his mom to talk to her.
Yeah, my kids contacted her on their own.
Allie said that they did live with Candus, with her kids. They're almost like family in a sense if they all live together. He could see her as like a second mom that buys him twisted tea. I don't know. Even if it wasn't grooming, even if she was just trying to be cool or whatever, it feels off, weird, wrong. According to him, you know, Summer slipped and went underwater. According to him, Summer fell asleep watching the videos, and that's what we know. The last time he saw her, she was unconscious. Donald Wells, after Allie did the interview, he did a Facebook post where he was like, you know, why are his family like turning against us now after her disappearance? And then he starts like targeting him and showing pictures of him and saying that basically, you know, like alluding to him doing something to Summer. So that is everything that I have for you so far. Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.